All right, folks, thank you for joining me here on tonight's Friday Night Live. Really looking forward to this session. It's December 29, 2023. I'm sharing it out real quick on X, letting everyone know that we're starting up the party. We are live now, and let's hashtag XRP, and we're doing a little 2024 XRP Q&A is what tonight's live is going to be based on. Full update, though, included. We're going to go through it, seeing where the market finished off the year. Definitely an exciting year, 2023. We're going to be breaking this one down, looking back and seeing, historically how moments like this have played out so that we can predict where 2024 is going. Part of that conversation is going to be XRP. Really looking forward to it. And so this is a conversation that I know folks are scared to touch on, is predicting XRP price action, but I'm going to keep it very conservative. And after being in this asset for years, I've learned, time and time again here that even when we get the best news imaginable, it doesn't necessarily equate to price action. And another thing that I've been talking about here is we've been doing our updates and keeping everyone up to date since February of 2021 when I started making content. And on the end of 2021 was when we really started pushing on YouTube. So we've only been pushing on YouTube for now about 2 years. We've racked up over 70,000 subscribers. And I want to say thank you for supporting the channel. It was another big, massive year for our YouTube platform, for X, now formerly Twitter. Obviously, within our Discord Patreon community, we've helped over 1,000 people now total. And I understand that we've been going through something here and it's tough. But for me, I find incredible value in our community. And I am running the special for our Patreon Discord access till the end of this year. Save 13% when you sign up for a 1-year membership. Other than that, all of my community resources are at my website, ZachRector.com. I continue doing what I do here with no sponsors. The people, our community here, you guys are the ones that support us. And I just want to say thank you from myself and my family. And looking forward to the momentum that our community has going into this 2024 moment that we continue to break down on a daily basis. While all the other guys are gone, where are they at? Whoops. Don't go there yet. We shouldn't go there yet, should we? Stay calm, stay focused, stay on point. While the clowns and some of these shills and some of these other guys, we asked them, how's your program working out? Now they're gone completely. They just fell off the radar. They're not showing up on a daily basis. They're not even showing up weekly. Took the money and ran. And obviously the biggest and the worst of the offenders are getting locked away. We're going to talk about how Sam Bankman-Fried got his second case dropped against him. So the case that was set to expose the Congress politicians that received money and all of the campaign finance charges, that one's getting dropped. And they say, don't worry. All of that was going to get revealed in the first case anyways. His crimes were so bad that, multiple cases and charges here, very extensive deal with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. And to think that this guy's behind bars, probably chilling out with a laptop, still playing video games and trading against us. He's sending out the calls like the Mafia Don from behind bars, sending out the shots, This is what Sam Bankman-Fried's still doing. I would bet everything I got on that if he's not able to access through his laptop, he's sending out signals, he's doing a deal. That's how these guys operate. And they have no shame. And so it's no surprise that his second case here is now dropped. But before I rant on too much further, let's get right on into tonight's update. It's a full update on the current events, the financial markets, seeing where we finished off on the charts. Obviously, a weekly close, monthly close, and a yearly close here on all of the macro timeframes. We get to zoom out and get really good perspective. And I'm really excited to share this with you guys. So just getting started here, just want to say thank you for all the support. As always, everything's at the website, ZachRector.com. And if you guys could just like all of the videos, share them out far and wide, that is all I ask. And I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's rock and roll. So we're starting off here, World War III current events popping off. As always, Christmas didn't stop it, kept on moving, and now we have it picking up here once again in Ukraine and Russia. Now, Zelensky comes out here. He says a maternity ward, educational facilities, a shopping mall, multi-story residential buildings, and private homes, a commercial storage, and a parking lot. Kiev, Lviv, Odessa, Kharkiv, and I'm not going to try to pronounce those other two, and a couple other cities, I think it was actually quite a few cities getting hit. Massive assault launched by Russia here today. Today, Russia used nearly every type of weapon in its arsenal. S-300s, Kinzhals, cruise missiles, and drones. Strategic bombers launched X-101 and X-505 missiles. A total of around 110 missiles were fired against Ukraine, with the majority of them being shot down. Unfortunately, there have been fatalities and injuries as a result of the strikes. All services are working around the clock and providing necessary aid. My condolences to those who have lost their loved ones. I wish a speedy recovery to those injured. We will surely respond to terrorist strikes, and we will continue to fight for the security of our entire country, every city, and every citizen. Russian terror must and will lose. I continue to pray for peace. I continue to pray for peace. And if you want our troops and if you want our money, I'm sorry, but we are bankrupt and bust, and we are a falling empire. I don't care if we're talking this country, that country, or domestic spending programs. We are bankrupt and bust. End of story. And our good men and women, God bless them. God bless our troops. We got to bring them back. We got to get back to mission objectives that are very clear. And oh, by the way, our Constitution tells us how we're supposed to be going to war, and it's declaring it in Congress. So when we do that, then we can have a discussion. And when we have the money to fund it, then we can have a conversation. But obviously, that's not stopping from the current events to continue on here. We see it in Syria here today as well. With the U.S., we've been talking about this. The U.S. continues to get involved, multiple fronts that they're fighting this battle. Similar, you go back and you look at World War II, the multiple battlefronts here now. Well, now, it's happening even faster in this current World War III that we got playing out here. U.S. hits 9 Iranian targets in Syria. The weapons of war that we got now, unbelievable. This includes the headquarters and arms depot and a convoy crossing the Iraqi border into Syria. They were struck and destroyed by an unknown aircraft. It is said to have resulted in at least 20 Iranian-backed fighters being killed or seriously injured. This is being sourced from Syrian media. The image is not of this event from Mario Nafal. If you guys aren't already following me on Twitter too, make sure you guys follow us over there, because that's where I drop updates throughout the day. Constantly, dropping my opinion or giving my thoughts or just retweeting something out. So make sure you guys follow us over there on Twitter. Now, we take a look at how the stock market finished off here. NASDAQ 100 soars 54% in 2023 for the best year since 1999. What happened right after that moment? Right? What happened right after 1999? That would be the dot-com bubble and the 9/11 events that took us here through, battles that we're still fighting here 20-something years later. Trillions of dollars spent, and here we are still battling it. But where's our market? Oh, but the market's up. Everything's great. Everything's warm and cozy for Christmas. Everyone racking up record high credit card debt. Highest interest rates on that credit. Excess savings set to run out by March or April, but everything's fine. Everyone be happy slappy. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the holidays. I'm gearing up for a new year here. We're already rocking and rolling. I'm already moving and just so excited for the fresh start, fresh year. And as we've been breaking down this market thing, we bring it back to those current events. We just say it's all tied in together. This is why we can't just stick to crypto, bro, right? We got to stay focused on how the current events are going to be affecting the markets. And we see that we have a new digital asset class, XRP being one of our favorites within the digital asset class. But we have a broader DLT technology, part of a fourth industrial revolution, that really tops this thing off, the cherry on the top, that confirms that this is going to be the greatest transfer of wealth in world history, in my opinion, and at least since World War II. So we got to make hay while the sun shines, and it's shining now, folks. The opportunities are coming around. So this is why we come here and broadcast every single night, to make sure that we are in the game, that we are tapped in, that we are getting on the right side of the transfer of wealth and not just sitting around making memes. Now, Father Woody, I appreciate the 5-spot. Thank you, my friend. XRP, the standard, good things are coming, brother. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. So we have this all going on, but when you look at the real economic data, as we've been highlighting, there's a different story that you find. Taking a look here from Market Watch, Chicago Business Activity Index retreats in December. The Chicago PMI falls to 46.9 after surging following the end of the United Auto Workers strike. So we got a good one last month for the Chicago PMI, but that was because it was the end of the auto workers strike. And so we started getting back to work. But this fell 8.9 points and it had a big miss. The forecast was a 50 reading. We came in here at 46.9. And the index had jumped to 55.8 in November, the highest level in 17 months after the end of the auto workers strike. And we talked about this too, about how we're all for the workers getting paid a fair wage. I am all for that. I'm all for reasonable benefits and packages and fighting for, getting what you deserve as far as pay and compensation for your job. 100% behind that. And we're seeing it across the board. I mean, when I go to spend money, when I go to hire out services, when I look at what we're having to charge in our business, I understand that the costs have been going up. And now you're seeing those auto workers, they commanded that higher price. Who's going to end up paying for that? Is that going to be covered by, the corporation? Or in many cases, are they just pushing this onto the consumer, which leads to more inflation? And so I really believe that although inflation is coming back down right now temporarily, I believe that we're going to see inflation ticking back up again at some point in 2024, probably after the Fed pivot comes in and they drop rates. And that's going to be after the black swan bomb, financial tsunami, banking crisis, whatever it is that they hit us with. That's when we get the interest rate cuts. That's when we get the money printer. And that's when the cycle is going to trend back up for inflation. They've been able to bring it down for the most part. Lower energy has been a big part of that with the DXY. But the DXY is now falling off, and that's starting to reverse here quickly. Now, as we pointed out here, what a surprise that on the Friday before New Year's, they snuck this one in, didn't they? They snuck this one in right before the New Year's while everyone's out, not paying attention. Prosecutors dropped the case against SBF that would have disclosed all who received his campaign contributions. Okay, maybe not so surprising. Yeah, it is no surprise, right? As we are, you can expect Gary Gensler is probably sipping champagne with the Congress men and women that took campaign contributions. This is from both sides of the aisle. As we've always said, this isn't left, right, up, down, who to believe in or who to love for us. This is, are you getting on the right side of the transfer of wealth and understanding that both sides have sold us out, that we have a DC corporation that has hijacked this country and they are actively trying to destroy the opportunity that we once knew as, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness here in America, the opportunity that the whole world wanted. That's under attack, and they've succeeded in destroying a large portion of that. Now, today was the final day for the SEC spot ETF filings to get in for the first wave, and all of the big boys and girls showed up. Starting off here with BlackRock, just dropped its updated S1, and it does name the APs. The APs are the authorized participants. These are the ones that basically convert your dollars to the shares. The authorized participants are basically the exchanges for these funds. And they list Jane Street and JP Morgan, which is kind of ironic. No, it's incredibly ironic. Looks like we have our first horse that is at the starting gate, BlackRock pulling up, as we expected. And JP Morgan, as we expected, right? They have no shame. Jamie Dimon, these guys come on out and they say that it's nothing but a pet rock. They say it's nothing but used for terrorist activity, for money laundering and all that, even though they're literally paying over $1 billion in legal fees to battle just the case that I don't dare really talk about. Crimes against humanity and the absolute worst of humanity that's been funded through the JP Morgan Chase operation. And it's an absolute joke that he wants to come out and say that cryptocurrencies, this is only for criminal activity, terrorist financing. And yes, you're right, Elizabeth, I got a plan for that, Warren. We should kill crypto completely. And if I were you guys, I would ban it. That's what he just said. Meanwhile, they're going to be the exchange, the authorized participants for the Bitcoin spot ETFs. And I don't believe that this is just for BlackRock. I think that they have a couple others as well. Jane Street definitely has a couple others as well, but that all is coming out here today. This is the final day to get it in for that first wave that's expected to be approved in early January, right here at the beginning of this year. Next, we see that we have Invesco and Galaxy have filed an amendment S1 for their Bitcoin ETF, and they don't name Jane Street. Their APs are Virtue and JP Morgan once again. As I said, JP Morgan showing up a couple times. Fidelity is coming in here with the lowest fee by far. So right now we have a battle underway for who's going to have the lowest fees for these funds. Fidelity comes in here with a 0.39%, by far the lowest. Also names Jane Street as authorized participant. Fidelity is officially ready to party. Now, this is a very exciting moment. As I've shown you guys what happened to the precious metals and their ETFs, you can go look. When you open up Wall Street, 401ks, pensions, and all of that liquidity, obviously BlackRock being the largest holder of 401ks and pensions in the United States, over 10 trillion assets at one point. I think they're down to about 8 or 9, but they just had a historical year. I think they returned about 15 billion in profit to their shareholders. So a historical year for Larry Fink and BlackRock, while he's playing the same game that Jamie Dimon is, right? Now Larry Fink has awoken to how cryptocurrencies are going to transcend traditional currencies. And so he's fully on board now that they're going to be able to control that, just like they're buying up, and all the institutions came up and bought up the real estate, right? They've been buying up businesses. They've been buying up everything that they can package up and scale. And so the largest private equity, all the way down to just me and you, folks that are trying to find an alternative, trying to find another option, and trying to say, okay, wow, if Larry Fink, the CEO of the largest asset manager in the United States of America, is saying that, cryptocurrencies are going to transcend traditional currencies, well, shoot, I guess I better go figure out this Bitcoin thing, this crypto thing, and hopefully you make it to something else besides Bitcoin, because you guys know how I feel about Bitcoin. Although it played its place, although we respect Bitcoin for what it did, it opened up the door and it got so many of us introduced into the space. But we're going to be talking about real utility coming to the XRP ledger and other chains that are already thriving with real utility that's being built out right now. It's a very exciting time. But let's continue on here, folks. We got a big time ruling today from Judge Rakoff in this Terraform Labs case. Excuse me. So we're going to take a look at this one. This is an opinion here from one of our lawyers here that's been chiming in on the XRP SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. This is Meta Lawman. And he says that Judge Rakoff's decision actually aligns with Judge Torres' Ripple decision to a significant degree, but not completely. So check this out here, folks. Judge Rakoff ruled that Luna and MIR were sold as investment contracts to institutional investors by Terra, the issuer, through written agreements. So similar to what Judge Torres ruled in the SEC versus Ripple case, the sales to institutional investors was a securities offering from Ripple. That's the same ruling that Judge Torres said. Terra represented that, but this was way worse from Terra Luna. Watch this. Terra represented that investing in Terra means buying Luna, which is the equity in our company. Now, nowhere have you ever heard Ripple Market buying XRP is buying equity in their company, right? That's how far these guys went. I mean, who was their legal advisor? Did they just think that they were going to be able to completely skirt the law? This is the most obvious securities offering, right? Literally saying that buying Luna is buying equity in the company. Hello. Owning Luna is equivalent to owning a stake in the transaction fees of a network like Visa. As such, Terra was openly declaring that it was selling investment contracts. Terra sold MIR tokens as yield-generating investments through written agreements. Terra represented that, quote, profits derived from the use of the Mir protocol are fed back to investors based on the size of their investment, and MIR holders can earn 0.25% from trading fees. Now, I retweeted this out, and I asked the very simple question, how in the world is Ethereum not a security if you put the facts of Ethereum in front of this judge? Now, mind you, this is just one judge, and thank God we didn't get this judge in the SEC versus Ripple case, because he might have extended out and said that XRP was a security in more cases than Judge Torres did, right? Judge Torres strictly said, and she actually shut down the interlocutory appeal from the SEC on programmatic sales to exchanges. And she shut that down and said, no, get back in your place, SEC. But the institutional sales that did have written agreements, that did have lockup periods, those contracts were the securities, not the XRP. Those contracts were the securities. So similar to that, you have the same thing going on here. MetaLawman says, in my opinion, Judge Torres would have ruled the same way on these facts with respect to Luna and MIR token sales that were offered by Terra directly to institutional buyers by way of written contracts. So he thinks that the facts and the circumstances around this case, that even Judge Torres, the judge from the SEC Ripple case, would have ruled the same way because it was so clear. I mean, folks, you don't have to be a securities expert to understand that this meets an investment contract derived off of the profits of others, right? Investing in Terra means buying Luna, which is the equity in our company. It doesn't get any easier than that. Judge Rakoff also ruled that UST stablecoin was sold as an investment contract. He ruled that because UST could be staked on the Anchor protocol, it was a yield-generating investment and hence a security. This ruling is debatable and may be vulnerable on appeal, in my opinion. In and of itself, how can the UST token be an investment contract? To earn that yield, you have to stake it on the Anchor protocol. So you have to make an additional investment. You have to make an additional, decision or action to derive that profit. Just buying the coin itself from an exchange, how is that a securities offering? So as MetaLawman says, this ruling is debatable and may be vulnerable on appeal, in my opinion. He says, I don't see any material impact from Judge Rakoff's ruling on the SEC versus Coinbase case. Unlike Terra, Coinbase is not the issuer of any of the 13 tokens in that case and not alleged to have entered into any contract with purchasers of the tokens. And so this is actually going to be applied to the Kraken case as well. In Kraken, you have 16 tokens and they are not the issuers of any of those. And I don't believe that they have any contracts with the purchasers of those tokens either. And they already settled up. Kraken already sent a fat check, I think it was over $20 million, to the SEC for their staking program. But now the SEC turned around 10 months later and sued Kraken for 16 tokens. The caveat is the SEC is likely to argue that Judge Rakoff's ruling on UST supports the idea that A, any token at issue in Coinbase that can be staked to earn yield should be considered an investment contract, and B, Coinbase's own staking service is an investment contract. So right, they probably will be able to get Coinbase for their staking service. And what always interested me was the move. Coinbase bought a broker-dealer a while ago, a securities broker. They bought one years ago. I mean, they've been sitting on that, and I don't know how far they developed that, but for me, I always figured that whatever tokens did get ruled as securities, or even if it's just the staking that gets ruled as a security, that Coinbase is just going to use that securities broker's license to be able to still be able to issue and sell those securities. Or sorry, not issue. They're not the issuer. They're just going to sell them, right? And offer the staking service. As noted, I do not think the ruling on the UST stablecoin is debatable. Dollars can be used to earn yield. It happens all day, every day. That doesn't make dollars investment contracts. So we're going to be watching that one very closely. Fred Rispoli chimes in here as well. He says this was a 71-page beatdown by Judge Rakoff in favor of the SEC. He opined that UST, Luna, Wrapped Luna, and MIR are all securities and did not distinguish between the sales offering and the tokens themselves. Now, there were some significant differences to the way that the Terraform Labs conducted itself in selling and promoting these tokens compared to Ripple's conduct, but I can assure you that if Ripple were before Judge Rakoff, based on his opinion here, XRP would have been deemed a security by him across the board. Folks, we need to be counting our blessings that we got Judge Torres, who was actually fair, in my opinion, based off the facts and the circumstances. You can't find the same type of marketing and promotion and verbiage of buying XRP as buying equity in Ripple. That has never been said by Ripple, ever. Nothing even close, nothing of the sort. In fact, you can go buy Ripple equity on platforms right now. I mean, I have the link for Link2 down below. If you guys are new to Link2, you're an accredited investor, you can go to Link2 and buy Ripple shares. And if you use my link, you can get $500 towards your first investment. That is not XRP. That is Ripple stock. That is the equity in Ripple. So, I mean, Terraform, they screwed themselves from the very beginning with how they marketed and set this whole thing up. So a prayer of thanks, he was not the judge in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, should be said by us all now. Thank you, God. Seriously. Thank you. We are so lucky. Now we have a very contradictory opinions in the Southern District in New York that are ripe for the Second Circuit to consider an appeal. Don't freak out. Nothing is going to happen with any appeal until 2025, 2026 for Ripple. But without congressional action, the U.S. will continue to have one-off judicial rulings that must grind their way through the appellate system. This will continue to wreak havoc on predictability for the industry in this country. And this is why it's so important that XRP is the only digital asset in the United States with legal clarity. And I know a lot of folks say that because we know that XRP is not a security, but we don't have clarity. We don't have a classification. When you look at the available options, you have commodities, you have currencies, and then you have securities or equities. We know we're not a security. That means that we're either a commodity or a currency, and you can be both. And it's just a matter of how they are taxed really is the difference. But you're able to own commodities. You're able to own physical silver in your possession. You're able to own currencies like US dollar in your possession. And you are going to be able to own XRP, a currency, call it a commodity, call it a utility token. FinCEN called it a virtual currency in the 2015 settlement with FinCEN and Ripple. Judge Torres called it a digital token. Call it whatever you want. It's a commodity and a currency. And this is the clarity that sets us apart from the entire rest of the space. As we, as I get through just a few more points here, and then we're going to go into our 2024 Xrp Q&A. I'm going to talk about my predictions, but this is such a big deal. Folks don't get it. When you have legal clarity for XRP and an AMM that's actually working, the institutional money is about to pour in. And you saw that all the institutional money was pouring into these projects, into Solana, into Terra Luna. Mike Novogratz got the tattoo. Mike Novogratz invests in Ethereum, Consensus, and basically all of these, same projects, the same group, the same crypto cabal that we kind of see with their fingerprints over all of the biggest fraud, scams, and BS in the space. And even with their free pass, their networks still don't work, as we now saw that Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin thinks that we should make Ethereum even more centralized. Instead of having a minimum 32 to be a staking validator, he thinks that you should have 4,000 Ethereum, which would cost you about $1 million to become a validator on Ethereum, centralizing that piece of network even more. How'd that Ethereum 2.0 rollout work? It's still not working out so well. But as we look ahead into 2024 and where this market's heading, I'm excited to share this one with you guys. For many in commodities, as I just was talking about, XRP is a commodity. It also is a currency, and it's been heavily suppressed. Well, we've also seen commodities haven't been as attractive because we've just had historic runs and candles being printed for the traditional stocks and equities. So everybody's wanting to participate, whether you just own the index and you're invested in the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones or the NASDAQ 100, which were basically all at all-time highs to finish off the year. Everybody's been doing that, and they've been forgetting about commodities. And the only reason why folks have actually turned their head and said, wait, what's going on here with commodities for a second, was when we had supply chain crisis and the ongoing commodity war that's actually taking place, which many people don't realize, and mainstream media is not talking about it. But this was the supply chain crisis. This was energy skyrocketing in Europe. This is, you see now the United States has actually now become, I believe, the largest producer of oil in the world, if I'm not mistaken. We are now producing the most. OPEC is now cutting. Russia has agreed to cut back too. And they've been playing with this oil market, which at one point did go negative during 2020. It got so bad that it actually went negative, but then it reverted back up. And I think the oil ended up going up all the way up to about $130 a barrel after that. So the volatility here is going to be massive. And what I'm about to show you here next is the commodities versus equities ratio. Everybody's been in equities, everybody's been in stocks, whether they're, just picking up Nvidia, picking up Amazon, picking up their favorite stock, or whether they are just buying the index. Everybody's been in equities. Now we're set to see a historical shift back once again to commodities. And I want to focus on when you just go back to the average, you see how much we have to gain. And think about that when we think about the historical ratio between silver and gold as well. We have a long ways to go for playing catch up for silver. But look at this chart right here. Eventually, there will be a substantial commodity bull market. This is from Josh Young here on Twitter. After years of underinvestment and lagging price performance, and actually we're watching mining operations and production facilities going down across the world. Mexico's actually negative as far as how much they're producing for their silver right now. This is actually a deficit for silver that we just had in 2022. It's going to be interesting to see if we had a deficit this year as well. He says, this time is not different. Oil is the world's largest commodity and may lead. The 2020 to 2022 run was just a prelude. Absolutely. The market was so volatile, and really it was the supply chain that really spurred it, right? But we're set here to gain back in a historical way when you look at this chart. Commodity prices relative to equities, and what you will find is that it's during these moments of crisis that the commodities go crazy. So the oil crisis of the 70s sent this thing skyrocketing, right? And then we didn't go back there until the Gulf crisis, and that was at the beginning of 1990, okay? And then we got back down here during the dot-com bubble, which is similar to where we're at right now, where everyone piled into equities, everybody was trading stocks again, similar to the 1920s when your shoe shine boy was giving you stock tips. And now you got Joe Blows like me on TikTok talking about my favorite cryptocurrencies, right? Same thing. And, obviously I joke. I'm not here to give you financial advice or tell you what to do. I just talk about my favorites. And we see many similarities between now and the dot-com bubble as we see the equities, right, got loaded up on. And as I showed you guys earlier in this episode, the NASDAQ 100 closes at a level that we haven't seen since 1999, which was right before the dot-com bubble. Now, during the financial crisis, 2008 into 2009, this is when we went from equities all the way back up here into commodities. Now you see where we're at right now, a historic level. But we are going to be returning to real value. And even if we just go back to the average, you got to understand what this does to oil, what this does to gold, silver, and other commodities as well. This coming up year of 2024, I'm dedicating some of my research is going to be looking at some of the other rare earth minerals and resources and all of that at a more deeper level, because I've got a surface level understanding of those other critical minerals, and investing in stocks, companies, mining companies and production companies. I'm going to be looking at that heavily in 2024 because of this chart and this historical move that we've gone into equities. Everybody's piled into equities, and the valuations are not there. The valuations that we're commanding right now in the stock market do not match the fundamentals, and you don't have to be a professional in business and economics to take a look at these valuations and to see that the market's way overvalued, and that these commodities and resources and rare earth minerals, for our iPhones, for all the technology and the chips in our cars and the batteries and all the production that silver is being used for, it's not going away. It's only going to get bigger. And so this is going to be a true potential commodity super cycle that some folks talk about. Silver has so much catch up to do. I'm very excited for it. Now, when we take a look here, New York spot gold closed this year at $2,063 an ounce. This is the fourth highest daily close ever, We just had the highest daily close earlier this week, remember? That was on Wednesday when we had the highest daily close ever. Today is the fourth highest daily close ever, the second highest weekly close ever, the highest monthly close ever, and the highest yearly close ever. How about that, folks? We are literally in price discovery. We achieved a new all-time high for gold this year. This is a historical move. And we're just getting started. When I just showed you guys that commodities to equities ratio, imagine, guys, we just achieved all-time high for gold in US dollars and, dozens of other major currencies. We've already achieved all-time high for gold. And look at that commodities to equities ratio. And if we just go back to the baseline average, what that's going to do for gold and silver. This party is just getting started. Producing miners and minting dollars at current prices and selling at half the valuation of the S&P 500. And so he's pointing to the fact that these companies, the stocks that represent the miners, whether you're just looking at some of these funds that get you a broad base exposure to miners and different producers, or if you're actually going out and picking them, they have a lot of catch up to do. Gold had a great run up, but the miners and the stocks for them have lagged. So a lot of folks are talking about how there could be a run up here on those companies. That's why I'm going to be looking into it so heavily. Just like we're looking at private equity right now for fintech companies like Ripple or Circle, private equity for real estate, we're also going to be looking at private equity here for the mining companies as well. I'm very interested in this. I think it's just a tremendous opportunity, and it's just real world value and utility that's undeniable. The fundamentals are there. You need to get it out of the ground to make the world run, especially with 7, almost 8 billion people. And so the ratio that we see, and just going back to normal, and you look at the ratio gold to silver, just going back to normal and what that would do for silver. That's why I've been stacking it. And you guys know the deal. I have affiliates for rolling over a 401k retirement account to precious metals or for getting metals shipped directly to you. We now see that Costco sold $100 million worth of gold in the last quarter. They're having a lot of fun. And then Walmart has now joined the party, and they're now selling gold as well. So the trend is your friend for those of us that have gotten tapped into precious metals. I started investing in precious metals last year, and I'm so glad. I've been exclusively in silver, but I'm so glad that I got that position. And I'm glad that the mining companies and the producers and the stocks have lagged. And it's given me an opportunity here now to dedicate some of my research to researching and finding deals and little gems in the production and mining companies behind these commodities and rare earth minerals. Very excited. But let's talk about Ripple, and we got a most recent update here on the Ripple sales of XRP. Let's take a look at this one. This one is from Mr. Huber, and he says the API, I see we got a massive super chat there from Stuart, big 50 spot. Dow Jones now 37,700. When it sniffs 40K, bubble popped. Please watch. Danger, danger. Stuart, we are so close. I keep on asking, how much more do you want to squeeze out of this thing, right? You've squeezed so much out of this thing back up to all-time highs. And what is the baseline thesis for this thing going up much further? I mean, yeah, it can go up a little bit more, but how much more are you trying to get out of this thing? And you have to measure that return against the real rate of inflation, which is how I, the benchmark for all of my investments is the assumption that real inflation is 10% at least, if not 20% on anything that matters. And we actually just talked about this earlier this week when we got the CPI data. 90% of the consumer items in the CPI are up 20 to 50% or more since 2020. So when we look at what kind of gains are we trying to get on our investment, I'm trying to get 20% at least, just to consider it a break-even investment. Is that dramatic? Is that exaggerating a little bit? Yes, but I want to err on the side of having a little bit extra to work with, because the real rate of inflation is not 3% like they're telling us. It's 10 to 20% on anything that matters, and that's what we have to hold as our benchmark. So for folks that are talking about, the Dow Jones could go up, to 40K, the Dow, or another 10% or so. the S&P could go up another 10%. Why do you want to even make that move? I'd rather just be liquid and wait for the big time correction that's coming in. And if that is the case, that the stocks are going to go up, well, then our cryptos are going to be going up, just like they have this year, right? And I'm about to show you guys, when you compare Bitcoin versus XRP versus Ethereum versus the stock market, it's not even close. You guys are going to like what I have to show you here in just one moment. Now, let's talk about something here, though. I've been getting a lot of questions, and this is why we're going to do a 2024 Xrp Q&A. So get your questions ready to go. But we're going to talk here about the Ripple sales. Let's take a look at this thing. API was just updated with the newest data. Ripple sales are now 167 million XRP for an average of 62 cents, which results in a total of 104 million for the last 25 days. So basically, in the last month, Ripple sold 167 million XRP. Remember, they are released 1 billion XRP every single month. This is actually kind of on track. It is a little bit more. This is twice the usual sales volume of the last 6 months. And Huber says, I suspect that Ripple wants to push this cut down again with the next buyback. Not much time left until the end of the year. And so you have to remember that although they've been selling off a few hundred million here, a few hundred million there, they are also buying back a significant amount as well. I forget what was the total number. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. Now that we're gonna get by the end of January, we'll have the Q4 market report from Ripple, and so I'll do a full update on all of the Ripple sales. But what gets exciting to see is how much they're buying back for on-demand liquidity. The other thing to note too is that all of their sales for the past 3 years have been going strictly and exclusively to institutional partners that are using on-demand liquidity for XRP. So they, institutions that want XRP, folks that are using on-demand liquidity, folks that want to use XRP for other utility, they're only selling it to them, and all of those sales are going over the counter, which you can argue that over the counter does impact price in a way, because over the counter is generally discounted. Generally, you're going to discount over the counter because someone's buying in bulk. And you have to understand, out of the billion that they got last month, to only be selling 167 million, right? That's only 16% of the XRP that was released to them within the last 30 days. And it's twice as much as the usual volume that they've been doing over the last 6 months. So when you look at how much they've been selling, roughly on average, they've been selling less than that, about 8%. Let's just round up. I like to keep the math simple, right? When we're doing all of our maths, when we're doing all of our predictions and calculations and assumptions, keep it simple and, make it easy to work with. And we want to run with conservative assumptions just to be safe. So let's just say, they're selling off about 10% each month, right? Give or take, and I don't believe that it's having an incredible impact on price as far as making the price tank. One could argue that it's helping keep the price actually stabilized because you have a little drip that's coming out every month from Ripple. And here's what the point that I wanted to make on this. We have to understand that what Ripple is doing is they're selling off XRP and they're distributing XRP, which we want them to be doing, right? We want them to be doing it in a responsible way. That's what they've been doing. They've only been selling it to folks that are using XRP for utility, and they've actually been buying a bunch of it back. So not only is Ripple buying back their stock at a much higher valuation than what you can actually get it on the private markets right now, right? Last time it was available on Link2, it was at like $40 a share. Ripple just bought back at equivalent to like $60 per share. And they're also buying back a boatload of XRP that they're using to basically, fulfill on-demand liquidity orders and volume and keeping the clients happy. And we have to get XRP into their hands, but then we also have to remember what Ripple executives have told us in the past, that Miguel Valles said that Ripple was set up to be a lender of last resort. which is what they're doing. As we see, United States banks have $684 billion of unrealized losses just on their held to maturity bonds. You understand how big the problem is? With over $2 trillion, according to Grant Cardone, $2 trillion of commercial real estate that is in default that banks have. So that's over $2 trillion on the balance sheets of these banks that's in default, and over $1 trillion of that needs to be reset and refinanced by next year, on top of the $684 billion of unrealized losses that these banks have on their bonds. You want to talk about taking a big fat L? With the Federal Reserve now reporting $130 billion of losses as well. This is why they need assets that are going to appreciate in price. And the Bank of International Settlements just changed the rules so that these banks can actually start to hold these assets. And this is happening slow. This is happening with little funds. This is happening with a Bitcoin spot ETF that's going to be approved. But the institutional wave of liquidity that's coming in is absolutely massive. It makes what we've achieved in crypto so far a drop in the bucket. And I run with conservative predictions of XRP just getting a little piece of the action, and it takes us somewhere pretty fun. And why folks want to criticize, they want to say that Ripple is dumping on us. They are not dumping on us because we don't have to buy from Ripple. They're not letting us buy. Which this is where it goes down the road, where we get priced out and where it's not even made really available. We hit that supply shock, and XRP is only held and it's being hoarded, as we titled last night's live show. XRP will be hoarded by liquidity hubs, banks, and institutions, and Joe Blows like me that hold on to my little bag of XRP. And I might make a little bit available for AMM. I might use a little bit to do some NFTs. I might play around a little bit with it, but I'm going to be holding a bag of it for a very long time until a much higher price, and maybe I might just hold it forever. And even if it takes Ripple another 10 years and they still haven't sold, let's run through some assumptions. Let's say that they sell off 90% of that bag in the next 10 years. Do you guys think that they're going to do that? Or do you think that they're going to hold on to a much larger chunk of that and really service as a lender of last resort, basically putting them at a higher level than banks, the banks that they're servicing? As I stated in my very first TikTok, that they shouldn't even be compared to a central bank because they're ready to service all of the central banks of the world. They're literally at a higher level, a higher tier than central banks. We should be comparing them to the IMF. We should be comparing them to the Bank of International Settlements. And the XRPL, with all of the utility that we're getting, you're going to be able to settle any form of value that you want to put on this ledger. And oh, by the way, if you got it on another blockchain, we're going to have EVM sidechain so that we can get all of the ERC20 tokens and all of the Ethereum virtual machine smart contracts settling up on XRP compared to the gas fees and the program working out on Ethereum. Absolute joke. And then when we get XLS38D, that's going to be the cross-chain bridge to tap us into every other ecosystem. Now, I need to do an update on Flare and some of these other projects, but I asked myself, these projects like Flare that were supposed to bring interoperability, bring smart contracts to the XRPL, and even like Zahao is supposed to bring smart contracts to the XRPL. Well, you don't need to recreate or reinvent the wheel. If you can bring any chain over, if you can settle any EVM smart contract or any ERC20 token on the EVM sidechain on the XRPL, do we even need smart contracts? And for building out the most robust, fluid, and efficient payment system and payment network, do we want to bog down the ledger with all that crap? As you guys have seen here recently, we've had a spam attack against the XRP ledger. Folks tried to say that I was clickbaiting. It was not clickbait. We had the ledger has been attacked by a bunch of BS. The same thing that they're doing on Bitcoin with the ordinal inscriptions and basically inscribing NFTs on the Bitcoin ledger. They're doing the same thing to the XRP ledger right now. Now, thankfully, we run a little bit better, and so our fees didn't go to $30 fees like they did on Bitcoin. We didn't shut down like Solana. We didn't shut down like all these other chains that go down. We kept on running. We had a couple little hiccups, but we've actually maintained. And now the attackers are back. The inscribers are back. The attack is underway once again. So we see this update. We're handling it a lot better this time around. Minus Wells says, never seen the XRPL slamming out massive blocks like this before, averaging 75 transactions per second, running smooth as can be. Now, this is high for the XRP ledger right now, 75 transactions per second, or transactions per ledger. You know, each ledger closing about 3 to 5 seconds, and then each one of those ledgers is containing anywhere from 50 to 100 transactions per second. And we've been consistently doing this over the last 24 hours as they've now attacked us once again. Now, just a couple of days ago, they were attacking us and we got up to about 50 TPS. Started to have a couple little hiccups, but the ledger still maintained. And I was talking with one of our favorite validators, Vet from XRP Cafe, one of the chosen validators on the UNL list, the 35 that actually are the ones that matter and make decisions on the XRPL and vote on amendments. I asked him, is the response to this, do we just need to beef up the infrastructure and the quality of infrastructure and hardware that the main 35 UNL validators are running, or do we need more validators? And he said basically the answer is we need to beef up the infrastructure on the UNL list, and we actually need to, what would help would be getting rid of some of the validators on the UNL list that are slow, that aren't responsive. And he's talking about some of the universities, he's talking about some of the other participants that aren't as active, that maybe don't have the best infrastructure. And so it's, there's a couple parts to this that are the problem, but the good news is that the XRPL didn't go down. It has not shut down. There was no paralysis of the XRP ledger like these attackers were trying to claim. They were trying to claim that basically they brought down the XRPL. That is not the case. That sucker kept on closing ledgers every 3 to 5 seconds, and a couple validators fell out of sync, but we still had consensus. We still were operating smoothly. And we saw this happen once again in 2021 when we got the XRPL token craze. We got all these tokens in 2021 that were created on the XRPL, and it was like this whole new like meme coin phase and just tokens being created on the XRPL, and it took us up to a similar level. About 30 TPS is what we were doing. What's important to understand, I'm just going to make one quick point on transactions per second. Yes, networks like Visa and MasterCard, they're doing thousands of TPS and can scale up to tens of thousands of transactions per second. But these are, very centralized systems where you have, you don't have many different validator nodes to come to consensus to run that network. You have closed off walled gardens that are much more efficient. And the XRPL has not needed to be at 1000 TPS because we haven't had that much activity that warrants that. That's just the reality of the XRP ledger. You really have to, we really all have to understand that there's a big difference, right, between XRP, the token, and the price that token commands, and the functions and the capabilities and the technology that is the XRP ledger that XRP is the native token for. So we talk about all the money and banks and institutions and, all of the XRP is going to be hoarded by these institutions and these liquidity hubs. And I firmly do believe that. And what I believe is going to be the case is Ripple has cited in the past, if you recall, Ripple cited that on their private version of the XRP ledger that they created for central banks, that they had capabilities of up to 100,000 transactions per second. They said that they would be able to do 50 to over 100,000 TPS on the private version of the XRPL, And that's because it's more of a closed off walled garden for central banks that they created. And this is where they've been building out all of these CBDC pilots on the XRPL. This is on the private version that they created for these central banks. And that private version is going to be necessary because these banks are not going to operate and put all of their transactions and all of their networks on the public mainnet with all of us, right? They want an institutional, closed-off, walled garden network that they control. So what I believe that Ripple has done is they've put themselves in a position to have a walled-off garden for central banks, and also given the ability to other players, like, for example, a JP Morgan could create their walled-off garden. And the way to do that is you tokenize the JPM coin on the XRPL, right? And you would have that interoperability with the XRPL and any other asset that gets put on the XRPL, which we're going to have all sorts of real estate, stocks, bonds. NFTs are already here. AMM is on the way. I believe that we're going to be sourcing out some of the best liquidity. But to tap into the XRPL, I think is going to give folks a massive, massive advantage, especially when they are able to go to a company like Ripple and they're able to buy XRP at a discount. They're able to stack their bags, as we've seen in the past, historical deals like the R3 deal for 5 billion XRP, like Ripple. You know, there's the fact that we have to understand here. Folks want to say Ripple's dumping on us. Ripple's not dumping on us. We're not buying XRP from Ripple. Ripple's distributing XRP to institutional clients that are using on-demand liquidity exclusively. That are using XRP for utility exclusively. Which, what does that tell us? That there is demand for the asset. And as we showed you guys with the Ripple sales that we've tracked over the last year, you know, there's folks that want to buy a couple 100 million XRP every single month. Now, Ripple could be selling off $1 billion of supply each month, but they're not. And I think that that's because they are being the responsible and righteous custodians of this world reserve digital currency. They stated it was their simple goal to make XRP a world reserve digital currency. I don't think that they've wavered from that goal. I don't think that they've changed from that goal. In fact, I believe that they've actually already accomplished that. And they're just, you know, they've already accomplished that world reserve currency because folks like me, and I believe many other institutions, are already treating XRP as a reserve currency on their balance sheet. That's why they're stacking it up. And I showed you guys last week, we had the Bank of International Settlements report that highlighted how out of the survey of banks that they had done, you know, they held $200 million worth of XRP, and it was about 2% of the crypto exposure that these banks had. So they're already holding XRP. And we're also seeing that around the world, they've already been using XRP. This is the benefits of the reserve currency, is that you can, you know, hold some of it as a reserve, but then you can also use it for the utility, whether that's delegating it towards an AMM liquidity pool, or whether that's, you know, additional utilities functions that you want to use the XRP ledger for. We need to celebrate the fact, though, that we are holding up against this attack. We are holding up and consistently running with 75 TPS here today. And for me, I am really looking at what I can do in 2024 to either, one, support a validator and basically just sub out, you know, where can I cut my check each month for somebody to run my validator? Or I'm going to be, we're gonna get behind these validators. That's a big part of my mission for 2024 in a serious way. And as someone who looks at implementing the XRPL into, you know, my business, different investments, different deals that I'm trying to put together, it's going to be a big focus for me in 2024 is how do I contribute? How do I participate? How do I help fund and invest in the XRPL validators that actually run this network that's going to be so important and so critical, I believe, in going to stand out amongst the rest of the entire cryptocurrency space. Now, let's talk about price action and let's get to your predictions. Let's get to some Q&A. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you guys haven't already, please like this video And I appreciate you guys for hanging on here through the full update. I'm just going to take a look at the charts here real quick because I want to provide everyone with perspective on what XRP is capable of and what it's done over the last year. Let's take a look at this. So we see that Bitcoin had a major run up this year. Great run up for Bitcoin. Love to see it. Uh-oh, I missed another super chat from Stuart, another 50 spot. He says physical gold, silver, cash, digital assets in a cold wallet, too effing easy. You know the deal, Stuart. And the reason why we start with the basics and the essentials, and then right now what I'm looking at is private equity and real estate. That's where we go next with the gains. And how do we make sure that our businesses are going to make it through this recession as well? Or make sure that you're going to have a job through this recession as well, right? I don't tell everybody, oh, you got to be an entrepreneur, you got to be self-made, you got to be a boss babe. That's not for me. No. That's not for most people. My deal is make sure you can bring in as much cash as possible so that you can stack up as much of the suppressed assets as possible. And then understand that with, like in the United States, to invest in private equity, most of the time you're going to have to be an accredited investor. Getting into that position so that we can invest in private equity, so that we can invest in the best deals in these asset classes. Invest in these companies before they go public. So what are we going to do with the XRP gains after we go to $5, $10? We're going to talk about XRP price predictions here in a second. Stuart, much love, brother. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for making sure that you like this video. I am comparing Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. And for this, I'm just going to say that you traded it perfectly. Let's just run with the assumption that you traded Bitcoin and Ethereum perfectly. You bought the lows and you sold off the tops perfectly. Let's take a look at how Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP would have performed if you would have bought the bottoms of 2022 and you would have sold the tops of 2023. Let's take a look at that comparison. So we start off here with Bitcoin. Incredible run up from the lows of November 2022 down to 15,500, all the way up here to about 45,000. Dang near got it, right? 44,600, 700, give or take. I'm pulling this. This is from Qcoin. But we pull 186% gains for Bitcoin. Incredible run up. So if you would have bought and just been the best trader here and timed it perfectly, you would have made 186% on your Bitcoin. What about Ethereum? Well, for Ethereum, you would have achieved 179%. So not quite as good, but pretty dang close. If you would have bought the lows of Ethereum in June, you just had conviction, you believed in it, and when that sucker went all the way down to about $868, down to about $900, you had your buy order placed and you scooped it up, and then you just sold the top that we just got at 2,400 just the other day, you would have got 180%. That's pretty good. That's pretty nice. What about our chosen XRP? Well, the little bad boy's something special. If you would have bought the lows of XRP in 2022, you would have been buying at about 28.30 cents, give or take. And if you would have sold those tops when all of the exchanges were going down and going bust with the historical ruling from Judge Torres, the XRP in and of itself is not a security, you would have gained 230%. From 30 cents to 94 cents. The math is not too hard, right? 230% for your XRP if you would have traded it perfectly. Once again, for Ethereum, you only would have got 180%. For Bitcoin, you would have achieved 186%. For XRP, you're having yourself a party with 230%. Now, is that the best? No. But I just want to provide perspective to the XRP community that's getting all worried, that's losing conviction. Oh, this XRP thing's not doing anything. No, it just did 230% if you traded it perfectly, which everyone wants to pretend like they're going to trade every coin perfectly that they see go, like Solana. People see Solana do a 12x and they assume that, gosh, if I would have just invested in Solana, I would have achieved a 12x. Most of the time, that's not what you're going to do. I'm running with the assumptions in this comparison just to give us a benchmark that you would have traded it perfectly. And if you would have traded it perfectly, I just showed you how much bigger gains you would have had XRP versus Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now let's take a look at some of the others. Well, here's our XLM. You would have done 177% for XLM. Okay, not as good as XRP. For Algorand, well, these charts are starting to get a little bit jacked up here. It's nowhere even close though. It's absolutely nowhere even close. My apologies for not having this chart ready to go. Give or take 8 cents for Algorand all the way up here. Oh, it's 190. It's 190. Never mind. Algorand was pretty good, and Quant did play catch up too. So the lows actually, lows for Quant were back here. And the highs came in 2022 in October, 460%. So Quant was a deal. And I remember when this thing went up to $200 last year. Yeah. When everything else was down and crashing, Quant just went on that run by itself. And this is what these coins do. And this is why you got to be ready to take your profits. Even if you traded it down here, right, you would have made 200 something percent. Love to see it. Now for Solana did a big one. Solana did do a big one. If you would have traded it perfectly, and you would have bought the $9 lows, $8 or $9 lows back here in December of 2022, and you would have sold off that top, you would have done a 14x, 1400%. If you would have done it absolutely perfect. And even right now, you have the opportunity to still be up about a 10 bagger, right? That's 1100%. That's an 11 bagger. That's a 10 bagger. That's pretty dang good. And you guys know what I put out for Solana here recently. The fundamentals are not there. It still has problems. It still has issues. And I believe that it's 100% market maker magicians who are manipulating it. You got Sam Bankman-Fried, who's still calling the shots and sending out trades, trading against CZ, who's now been arrested here too. And they're still both trading against each other, even though the whole thing's going down. And essentially, that is the entire 2023 for crypto in a nutshell, is the market maker magicians and the fraudsters and the scamsters and the SBF and the CZs. They went into overdrive with all of the manipulation. And it's like they knew they were going down. So they just said, F it, let's send this thing. Massive prints at Paxos Treasury for Binance USD in January. Massive print of $148 million on January 20th for USDC. As you can tell, I remember the day like it was yesterday. I remember putting out videos saying, guys, this is, we got some manipulation coming in. They've been printing a bunch of Tether all year. Tether has taken and eaten USDC's lunch this year, but now we're seeing a shift actually in Binance is now listing a bunch of USDC pairs. It's like all out of nowhere. Binance is now listing a bunch of USDC pairs, and they've delisted Binance USD, which was their stablecoin. So that's 2023 in a nutshell. The stablecoins that they used, and are still using to manipulate this thing like Binance USD are now being taken down, and now they're moving to USDC, which and I'm going to talk about this in a separate video about the company Circle, how I still believe that they have a nice little opportunity as they're set to IPO in the next couple years. Circle could be a very interesting one. I'm going to be doing a valuation and a full deep dive on the company Circle, but I found that very interesting with USDC pairs being listed on Binance just this last week. Now, with that being said, I'll just cut to the chase on where I see XRP going in 2024. I am just keeping it conservative and start to drop your questions and comments down below. And I'm going to spend some time here going through. I know that I went a little bit long. We've gone over an hour on the full update. We're not done. Now we're going to do Q&A on 2024 XRP predictions. And I'm just going to cut straight to the chase with my price prediction for XRP, because I know this is what everybody wants to know. And let me give the disclaimer that I'm not here to give you financial advice. I showed you the charts. If you would have traded all of these cryptos perfectly, XRP outperformed Ethereum, it outperformed Bitcoin, and there was a few other ones that did perform better, right? But XRP did outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum, the top two coins. I think that it's set to outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum in the coming bull run as well. It will not get outperformed by Bitcoin and Ethereum this time around. Stuart, I see you with another 50 spot, and I appreciate you, brother. Wild West getting cleaned up. This will be a volatile year. Get ready, have your popcorn ready, have your chips on the sideline ready to deploy. And we actually already started to see the sell-off here today, didn't we? As Bitcoin went down below 42,000. For XRP this coming year, I believe that we are on our way to at least all-time high. I do not think that it's going to happen in the first part of this year. I think that it's going to be happening sometime later this year. I think that we are looking at another opportunity where exchanges might break once again if we get some ruling on the SEC conclusion of this case. The conclusion of the SEC versus Ripple case, I believe that complete conclusion, because we've had great rulings and we went and broke all the exchanges. We went back up to $1, but we get that full conclusion. I think that that's going to be one of the moments that might take us back above $1, and that might have us pushing back towards 2. And I'm waiting for the exchanges to go bust, even just going to those levels. Be ready. I don't think that that's done. And I think that the bull run really starts to come in and we go into true alt season late 2024 into 2025. I think that we have a volatile setup and a volatile Q1 of 2024 coming up. XRP is going to be volatile regardless. I just showed you that. The swings in XRP are what shake up this community so much. That's where the opportunity's at, though. That's why if you traded XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum perfectly from the lows of 2022 to the highs of 2023, you made 230% against Bitcoin and Ethereum, which only did about 170 and 180. That's our opportunity. And this is just the beginning. We're just beginning this next bull run. I've already warned you guys about black swan scenarios and why I am still on the sidelines with cash and why I've packed my bags and I'm happy with my bags. But I'm going to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming. I think it's going to be, some of the last opportunities to acquire these assets at these prices. It is set to launch the only digital asset with clarity, with massive utility that's coming in. And the utility in the DeFi is what took all of these other coins to these crazy prices, along with the speculation. And you bet there's plenty of speculation still in XRP, and there's going to be a bunch more. Remember what happened last time XRP went above $1. Every time it goes above $1, folks start to FOMO in, because that is the confirmation, the psychological confirmation that XRP is going back up. And everybody's looking at what XRP did back in history, where it went from 20 cents to $3.84 in the period of 1 month. And all of the exchanges went bust during that time as well. CoinMarketCap delisted the Korean exchanges. It dropped the price of XRP by 30% in one day. It wiped out some 20-30 billion of market cap in one day. The volatility that's coming up for the XRP community is going to shake our community to the core, because we've had so much pain. We've had so much suffering. We've had so much stress. This has been so delayed. We've had to capitulate. Some folks have lost conviction. They've lost faith, and they've dumped their entire bags. Some folks have had to sell their, not just XRP, but other crypto positions because of the recession, the economy, how tight it's gotten with inflation. They've had to offload bags, and I have sympathy. This is all part of the damages done by the SEC. And funny enough, today is the 1-year anniversary of when I had Jimmy Valley on, and we talked about the red folder, and we talked about the fair market value of XRP and the damages that have been done to the XRP community through the weaponized bureaucracy beast that our government has become. The damages are still being felt from the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. The damages are ongoing. But as I stated, the final conclusion of this case where it will not be any confusion, is coming, probably in 2024. And that, along with a Ripple IPO, which is probably slated to come late 2024 or 2025, is all going to be major catalysts, along with the utility and the DeFi that's going to be coming to this ledger that actually works. While all these other projects, the Ethereum gas fees don't work, Ethereum's going to become more centralized if we, get Vitalik's plan of making it not just 32 Ethereum to be a staked validator, but making it 4,000 Ethereum. You're going to have to be a millionaire to be a validator on the Ethereum network. That's where this has gone. This has gone from everybody can just run an Ethereum miner and make money and validate the network. And that was great. And then we moved to proof of stake so that we could scale up. Oh, wait, that didn't work. It still doesn't scale. It still has incredibly high gas fees, and it's become even more centralized. The validation process has become even more centralized. And now Vitalik's solution to not scaling is to centralize it even further. Or, and just apply the judge's ruling from Rakoff there towards Ethereum. Just apply it to 90% of the ICOs that were done, to 100% of the ICOs that were done. We now have two cases, two courts, two judges, Judge Torres and Judge Rakoff, that have ruled that sales from issuers to institutional investors with contracts is a securities offering. That is precedent in the United States right now. What that means, what that translates to, is that every single ICO that was sold to U.S. institutional investors was a securities offering. Every single one. We now have two judges that have come to that consensus. And if you actually look at some of the other lawsuits that have settled up, that would be, the same ruling, the same facts, the same scenarios apply there. Peaky's dropping the dad jokes. Gotta love it. I drop my fair share of dad jokes as well. But I want to get you guys' questions, comments. Let's get into it. I'm going to start reading the questions, the comments. I'm going to try to go rapid fire. I've been ranting all night. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. There was so much that I wanted to cover in tonight's update, so thank you for hanging out with me. If you haven't already, please like this video. Everything is at my website, zachrector.com. Let's go into Q&A. What are you guys working with? My dad trying to get me into Bitcoin when it was 33 cents. Unfortunately, I didn't buy it. XRP is the best opportunity all over again. Beyond excited. Josh, I think that we do have a massive opportunity, and I like to keep my predictions conservative. As I stated, I think that we're well on our way to new all-time highs. I'm watching for the bull run to be extended out into 2025, and that's when my targets of a $7 to $13 XRP is where I think we land. $7 to $13 is where I think we land. And then on the high side of XRP price predictions, excuse me, I'm pulling 13 to about 20, 22. You can pull fibs up to about 27 depending on how you pull it, but $13 to $30 on the high end for 2025. If we don't achieve this bull run, that's fine. I think that we easily achieve that $7 to $13 range, and then we come back down and settle. But then that next leg up, I do believe, takes us well into the double digits. Well into the double digits by that next bull run. Okay. And you can see on the charts, the real alt season probably doesn't come in until 2024 or 2025. Historically, that's how it's played out. And you look at the Bitcoin dominance and everything right now, it's on a similar track to where we're set to have the alt season. But that doesn't mean that alts like XRP and others can't start going right now, like you're already seeing Solana going. And what I want you guys to be prepared for is taking profits. Question: last small Bitcoin pump before end of year possible? Yeah, sure. Yeah. What I'm watching for is for a big sell-off, though, at the beginning of the year, because folks don't want to take profits right now because it's going to be a tax implication for this year. So I know a lot of people, and I'm even hearing it on CNBC. On CNBC, the Wall Street boys and girls are talking about how they're, pushing off taking profits until next year. And then I'm seeing it in, crypto Twitter as well. And I get it, not wanting to, add to your tax burden this year and wanting to maybe push off those profits. And I think that you're already seeing the selling, you're already seeing that move is what came in here today for Bitcoin back below 42,000. Very good question, Elias. Thank you so much. Or sorry, that was just us. Just us. Thank you. Oh, TB, I missed your super chat. I thought that I saw another super chat, TB. Oh, shoot. Was it way at the beginning? Oh, shoot. TB. TB with the 5 spot. And that is your 10th super chat, brother. TB, much love. I'm glad I was able to find your super chat, brother. Zach, have you seen the movie Gold with Zach Efron? Post-apocalyptic setting, much like Leave the World Behind. Hints at 1.25 milli Bitcoin. Thoughts? That's the new one that just came out, isn't it? Maybe I'll have to watch that. A little bit of predictive programming. Is it a show or is it a movie? I'll have to go check that out, TB. Great question. By the way, I have another deep dive on Stellar, an update on Stellar XLM coming up here soon. You guys are going to like this one as well. Where did I leave off on the questions? If I wanted to get a loan that was no interest for the first month, do you think it would be relatively safe to place swings on XRP with buy and sell limits? Mason, you need to be very careful with leverage right now. You need to understand what you're doing. If you're trading in this deal, be very, very careful with leverage, okay? We have a lot of volatility coming up, so you got to be an experienced trader. For me, my program was I stuck to exclusively Bitcoin shorts at 5x leverage. Very small leverage, swing trades that sometimes I would ride down 20 or 30% loss before they would come back into profit. And then my sweet spot was taking profit at 10 to 20%. Actually, as I'm going back and pulling all my crypto data and stuff, I'm going to pull my trading record for the last year so that I can actually report it to you guys. I haven't been able to trade for the last few months. It's been a long time since I've been trading because I can't find an exchange that will offer futures trading to my state. There's not many options for futures trading in the United States, and the few that we do have aren't offered in my state. My state is terrible for trading crypto and for many other things. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And now the governor instituted another capital gains tax, even though income tax is unconstitutional per our state. Our state constitution has outlawed any sort of income tax. Now he's done his workaround for capital gains, and he's pitched it as, oh, I'm just taxing the rich. No, you're not. You're taxing people that are building a little bit of wealth for themselves. It's not the rich. That's how you drive away companies and investment from our state. Absolute joke. And don't get me started. I'm already ranting. This is supposed to be an XRP Q&A. Let me stay on task. Matt, I appreciate the 777. Goodbye 2023. Won't miss you. Looking forward to 2024. I know, Matt. It was a rough go. Even though our cryptos have still been hanging in there, markets have kind of been up. I know it's been a tough go at it, right? It's been a squeeze. Talk about a short squeeze. This has been the inflation squeeze has been real. It has been felt by all of us. And so, Matt, I do appreciate the support, brother. XRP, there you go, brother. There you go. Good work. Let us know. Let us know what you find. I have health problems. For those who don't know, I actually had, I've had 2 heart surgeries. I had one when I was 5. I had open heart surgery, fully cut me open. And I had another surgery in 2016. And they updated me. They updated my valve. And so, yes, life insurance. I've tried to get life insurance. I don't know why. They don't trust me. I've had some issues with that. But I'm looking at those products and absolutely let me know what you find, Peaky. I appreciate that. That's the problem too, is that I don't like holding on to Tether. I was doing all of my shorts and all my trading with Tether. I got wrecked trading meme coins. I used to try shorting like SHIB back in 2022. I've even shorted XRP a couple times in my my trading bag. Now my trading bag was always smaller than about 10% of all of my crypto holdings. I would only play with 5 or 10% for trading. And I wasn't afraid. I shorted XRP a couple times, full disclosure. And every time I trade, I let my Discord group know. And then generally speaking, I come on YouTube too. And I just flat out say what trade I'm in because I just keep it real with you guys. I got wrecked every time I did that. Every time I tried to short Doge, every time I tried to short SHIB, I tried to short Algorand, which actually I got screwed out by Qcoin. Qcoin totally screwed me out. The market was at it was like over $1. It was like $2 for Algorand, and I had entered a short, and they didn't recognize the price. They liquidated me out, and they totally screwed me over. I should have made a boatload of money because Algorand had gone up over $1, and then it came all the way back down to like 60, 70 cents. I don't know what the heck happened there, but they didn't recognize the price. There wasn't good liquidity, and Qcoin totally screwed me out, and so they liquidated my whole bag. So you have to go and make mistakes like that. You put your own skin in the game. You have to go make those mistakes and learn those lessons before you go on a streak like I did, where I only lost once on my Bitcoin shorts. Once I implemented a very simple, consistent, repeatable, and it was scalable. I could have thrown more money at that, but I never really did because I didn't want to be in Tether on Qcoin. So now Qcoin found out where I'm from. They completely kicked me off. Thank God I was able to roll all of my trading profits into XRP, and then I got my XRP off into my cold storage. So all is well, and at least Qcoin was able to do that for me. I didn't get stuck on their platform. Yeah, I would just be careful with leverage in general. You know, a lot of folks are like, oh, I'm going to do life insurance, or I'm going to leverage this, I'm going to do that. You need to understand what you're going to do with that money, right? I'm all for using debt properly. This is how the rich, this is how the elite manage debt properly. I get that. Leverage is one heck of a drug, though, if you get attached to it. And it's, you know, debt can be one burden. It can be one big problem if you don't understand what you're investing in with that money. And the baseline for any deal is cash flow must cover debt service, period. Running with conservative assumptions. And as long as your cash flow covers your debt service, you know you're not going to default or go broke or bust on that debt. Now, whether or not you're going to make profit, that's where you want to go seek out high margin businesses. You want to go seek out investment opportunities that are going to be, you know, more than 10 or 20%. That is basically the equivalent of inflation, right? So, high profit margin businesses, ideally 20 to 40% is the sweet spot because you want room for error. 20 to 40% margins. And folks, we're going to be dropping some fresh updates. We have business development content. We have tactical wealth lessons. We have weekly calls. We have a lot coming to our Discord community. And I'm going to be breaking down some of the best businesses to start in 2024. But the opportunity is absolutely massive for our community. Now is your time to bring order to the chaos that we are going to see all around us. Whether we're talking about being the leader in your family, being the leader in your church, in your community, in your business. Now is the time to bring order to this chaos. This is what the elite's plan is. This is their motto. This is what they live by. We can flip it upside down on them. and focus on what we can control, right? Focus on our circumstances, our business, our investments. 2024 is going to bring a massive opportunity, and I believe that whatever they're sending our way, they come right back in a major way, cutting interest, money printer go burr, and let's go have ourselves a party. God willing, we can survive this storm. World wars are still going on, internal chaos within this country. Are we going to have an election? It's getting pretty crazy out here, but that money printer is going to go burr, and we're going to be going back to the moon. And you need to understand how to take calculated profits on positions that you need to exit on, that you want to exit on. Executing your exit strategy, executing a reallocation program where you can roll gains from XRP into buying private equity on, let's say, Ripple before they go public, buying, your first rental property, building out a portfolio in real estate, starting your business, selling off XRP so that you can go buy and buy a business or go start a business. We got to have a plan. My nerves could not take futures trading. Cat Baloo. That's actually kind of why I could do a VPN. I could do a workaround. I could do VPN. That's risky. But also, to be honest, I'm not the type that likes to spend all day looking at charts, and I don't like to do TA. Really at all. I don't like sitting in front of the computer unless I'm doing this. I can sit in front of the computer and I could talk all day long. You guys already know that. As far as looking at the TA and doing lines and drawing scribblies and doing fibs, it's boring. And it is nerve-wracking, especially if you put serious money on the line. That's why I never really did day trading. What I did was swing trading. That's where basically I would take positions. I would set my take profit at 20%. Or 25%. And then that allowed me to go away. See, I could set my trade and then I could go spend time with my family. And then I could go to sleep and I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night checking my phone, seeing if I need to do a trade, seeing if we broke the moving average, seeing if the RSI is too high and I need to sell off. No, I've already done the TA. I've already done the fundamentals. I've already done my calculations. And I've already said, okay, at this point, I'm happy with profits there. Don't get greedy. And so I stuck to my plan. And I'm excited to start trading again, but I don't really miss, never did even try to do any sort of day trading. Never did try to do that. And never used high leverage. Every time I tried to short meme coins or trade meme coins and do any sort of day trading like that, I would get wrecked. When I went into much more calculated swing trades, and I stuck to my model of shorting Bitcoin with only 5x leverage, only missed once since 2022. Good question, XRP liquidity. If XRP hits a certain price, is Uphold the only company that you have confidence in to cash some out? Yes, it's probably one of our best options just because they're a broker-dealer that sources from multiple exchanges. They were one of the last folks. I mean, we talked about, Luna being labeled as security here tonight in that lawsuit. When Luna was collapsing, they were actually one of the last exchanges, I think maybe even the last, that had trading and liquidity provided for Luna. And that's because they're sourcing liquidity from multiple exchanges. So while most exchanges were down for Luna, Uphold was able to keep trading. Now, I'm hoping that they've beefed up. And when I talked to the CEO of Uphold, Simon McLaughlin, he said that they have beefed up. What they saw during that moment, the July 13th ruling, was unlike what did he say? 50 times higher than the peak 2021 bull run trading for XRP. So the highest ever trading volumes that they saw in 2021 during the bull run was eclipsed by like 50x in a span of like 5 minutes. When the ruling came out, Judge Torres saying that XRP in and of itself was not a security. So that's why all of the exchanges went bust. But yeah, this is why I have relationships with Coinbase, with a whole list of exchanges. And I don't trust any of them. I'm only there to do a business deal. They are not my friends. Even though I do like Simon McLaughlin, I do like the folks from Uphold. I've gotten to meet Nancy and a couple of the others. I do like them. They are nice. I guess they're kind of friends. But when it's time to trade cryptos, it's strictly business. And I'm not here to be your friend until I can get my XRP or get my cryptos off of your exchange. Or in the case of cashing out, get that cash in my bank account. Then we can be friends. The other thing to think about too is at that moment, exchanges have limits on how much you can cash out on a daily basis. So yeah, you know, this is something that it's ongoing work that you need to be having here, especially if you're in a state like me, where you're just trying to find places to even buy spot crypto, not even trade futures, not even do staking. Just allow me to buy Bitcoin, allow me to buy XRP. That's hard enough, let alone setting up all these relationships and also doing practice runs, moving from cold storage back to your exchange so that you can, sell off and that you get comfortable kind of moving some funds around. And start with your small amounts, do practice trials, send tests before you get playing with any big amounts. And before, you got to understand the euphoria that we're all going to be feeling during this coming bull run when we go to sell. Don't slip up and get the fat finger. Could you go over capital gains tax per state and province, Mason? Yeah, that's based off of you got long-term gains, you got short-term capital gains. State by state basis, I don't know if I could do that, but yeah, I could do a session on taxes for sure. If you guys need to get any last minute expenses in, any last minute tax write-offs, we have just a couple days to go. December 29th is where we're at right now at the time of this recording. Maybe it's already December 30th where you're at. If you need a little bit of help and you want to get a little bang for your buck, we're running our special for our Patreon Discord community. When you sign up for a 1-year membership, you save 13% on your membership fees. So we only have 2 more days to take advantage of that and talk to your tax professional or accountant about being able to write off your Patreon membership as a business expense. Yeah, Saudi Arabia supposedly joining BRICS in January. Well, we just saw today was Argentina formally rejected joining BRICS. So there's 5 other countries. There was 6, including Argentina. But now with the new president, Javier Milei, they've formally rejected the BRICS offering. Let me know in the comments down below. What's the vibe that you guys are getting from Milei? Is he a wolf in sheep's clothing? Is he a puppet of the elite? What do you guys think? He's already cut what did he cut? Like 5,000 jobs at the federal government, or like he's already slashed a major amount of the government. So he's shaking things up, but is he a wolf in sheep's clothing? This is where the fee for someone like Caleb and Brown might be practical. Xrp Q. I have not set up with them yet. I know many people have. They might be a good option too. Elias says XRP $16, XDC $1 to $5. Yeah. What's the max on Uphold to cash out? I'm not sure. I think there's different levels. Any more questions on XRP in 2024? We have so many amendments in utility coming, guys. It's going to be so great. with the certainty, with the case behind it, it's like you'll know that you don't have a security, and you'll know that using XRP for its utility, you're not going to have a security either. And you're going to be able to generate yield from the XRPL AMM with an understanding that you're not in a security either. I mean, who do you sue? You can't sue the protocol, right? It's a decentralized protocol that is generating that yield, and you're doing it on your own. That's how the layer 1 XRPL AMM is going to distinguish itself from the rest of the others. In fact, I have another video that I'm getting ready to record titled XRPL will have the best AMM. And that's going to be coming in 2024, most likely. Jay says $25,000 a day. Wasn't he going back to the US dollar? Yeah, it seems like Malay has chosen to still use the US dollar. He is cutting his government, though. He already has a big resistance. Tremor says puppet. All right, folks. We will continue where we left off tomorrow. Make sure you guys tune in. We have our Discord weekly call every single Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. If you want a chance to hop on a call with me, our community, it's an open conversation, and we have it every single Saturday. That is going to be tomorrow morning. So just hop on over to the website at zachrector.com. You sign up through Patreon to get access to Discord. Like I said, we have a special that we're running for just 2 more days. At the end of the year here, we're going to cut off this deal. Save 13% on your annual membership fees for Patreon to get access to Discord, a community of like-minded individuals. And I can't wait to see you guys in there tomorrow morning. Another call, and we got additional educational content coming on the way. Already have 3 meetups scheduled for the year. It is going to be a massive year for the community. And I just want to say thank you for all the support on the way out. If you guys haven't already, please like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're new here. You don't want to miss any of our updates. We got a lot of excitement coming our way for 2024. This is going to be our year. Appreciate all of you guys for stopping by. I will see you guys tomorrow. God bless you all. Thank you so much.